about we get things moving? Hello! Welcome to an adventure. Hi, I am Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech, and this is Archival Adventures, going out live on twitch.tv/VTUL Studios and twitch.tv/Rogan27. I hope that you can hear me okay. I hope that I'm coming through on both channels okay. My audio levels tell me I should be, but as always, that has been one of the harder things to get consistency on. So let me know if there are any problems. Let's see here. Hannah, it is good to see you. Hello. Hi, was not worth it. Hello, Iron Trout and Fluidan. It is great to see all of you. And Conciliance, happy spring equinox, indeed. Thank you so much for the 100 bits. I love the little, the unicorn bit. Oh, Hannah, no worries. I deleted the spam post in the other chat right before I showed up on screen. So I hope everybody is having a great week. We are starting spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. It feels weird to say that because it has been so cold in my office. I'm literally sitting here. I have a space heater aimed at my feet right now. But it is springtime for us. Southern Hemisphere, all of you out there, I suppose you're entering autumn. That's a strange thought. But only because I haven't really had to think about it before. Anyway, I should probably get us moving towards content. Unless somebody wants to jump in and tell me of any archival adventures you've had recently. I would love to invite stories from the archives, if you have them. While I give time for that, I'm just a tad quieter on BTUL, but not something that really needs fixing. Okay, as long as it sounds okay. Right now, it is pulling voice from a different microphone over there. So I can boost it a little bit, and long term, it'll all come from one source. Not there yet. On this show, we're looking at history. And since I'm located at Virginia Tech, we like to start each episode by taking a look at some important info about Virginia Tech's history. Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tutelo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that the Morrill Land Grant College Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands in Western territories. We understand that honoring Native peoples without explicit material commitments falls short of our institutional responsibilities. Through sustained, transparent, and meaningful engagement with the Tutelo and Monacan peoples and other Native nations, we commit to changing the trajectory of Virginia Tech's history by increasing Indigenous student, staff, and faculty recruitment and retention, diversifying course offerings, and meeting the growing needs of all Virginia tribes and supporting their sovereignty. Virginia Tech acknowledges that its Blacksburg campus sits partly on land that was previously the site of the Smithfield and Solitude plantations owned by members of the Preston family. Between the 1770s and the 1860s, the Prestons and other local white families that owned parcels of what became Virginia Tech also owned hundreds of enslaved people. We acknowledge that enslaved black people generated wealth that financed the predecessor institution to Virginia Tech, the Preston and Olin Institute, and they also worked on construction of its building. Not until 1953, however, was the first black student permitted to enroll. Through inclusive VT, the institutional and individual commitment to EPROSIN, that I may say, in the spirit of community, diversity, and excellence, we commit to advancing a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community. Okay, so what are we looking at today? Our topic today is Virginia elections. It is an election year here in the United States, and rather than doing something in November, we're doing something now. We have a couple of collections. They are all focused on either the 18th or 19th century. I don't know. You know, it says 18th or 19th century, but me looking at the dates that are listed here, it's actually 19th and very early 20th. But it's okay. We'll get that corrected for the VOD, for sure. But we have a Virginia Confederate Election Ticket. We have a collection that's just called Virginia Elections Collection. We have a Pittsylvania County Voter Ledger and the Henry T. Parrish Scrapbook of the 1860 election. So, I don't know a whole lot about these things. I've seen at least one of them before, but basically they will be new to me, like normal. I do know that some of them are going to be Confederate States of America. So, that'll be interesting, I guess. But this finding aid, or this guide here, this document, that's what it is, sure, has links to the finding aids that, crossing my fingers, will work. Indeed they will. So if you want to get a quick look at something, or if you want to peruse through and see if there's something interesting that you want to make sure that I show on stream, the finding aids are the place to do it. Let's see. So this first item is the Virginia Confederate Election Ticket of 1861. Contains a Virginia election ticket for the November 6, 1861 Confederate election. Includes the names of candidates for 16 districts. Okay, so it looks like it's just one document. Okay, so we'll take a look at that one for sure. Congratulations, Iron Trout, on being randomly selected as a VIP for the stream. Enjoy the additional bling on your username. The Virginia Elections Collection, 1804, 1808, 1865. United States polls and ballots collected from Amelia County, Virginia. Some of the material pertains to election polls in the Confederate Army during the American Civil War. One of the ballots is for the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which gave citizenship and equal rights to formerly enslaved persons. So that should be interesting. Third collection that we've got here is the Pittsylvania County Voter Ledger. Contains the names of individuals registered to vote in Pittsylvania County, Virginia from 1896 to 1924. I do not know whether there will be anything particularly interesting, but we'll take a look at it and we'll see! Sterling. Sterling, I'm sure it'll be fine. I forgot about this episode, but if something is messed up, I processed it, lol. It'll be fine. There will be interesting things. I did see your name on some of the things. It smelled like onions. I'll have to comment on the smell when I get it open. Hopefully it doesn't smell like burning, because the back hallway smelled like burning. when I walked through it just before stream. So they've been doing elevator work, so I'm hopeful that that's all it is. If the alarm goes off, just know I will exit the building. And then we have the Henry T. Parrish Scrapbook of the 1860 election. Scrapbook in this collection contains newspaper clippings of the 1860 presidential campaigns. Primary focus is on candidates John Bell, Stephen Douglas, and John Breckinridge. So I have a feeling, just because of my personal knowledge in this area, there's probably going to be quite a few things I will need to look up. Because I might know the name of somebody, but nothing about them. This is not my area of expertise, which is fine. We'll get to see some interesting things. Oh yeah, you went and checked it out and notified the building manager? Awesome. Thank you, Sterling. Yeah, as I was coming back from the restroom at the start of stream, I was quickly sending a note to let people know, hey, I smelled burning in the back hallway. I thought I should let someone know. Alright, how about we look at some documents? Burning. This is fine. I don't know what to look at first. Maybe I'll start with oversized material. Since there is some. Hey, when I say Archival adventures, I mean adventures. The building might be on fire, and we're here, so that's an adventure, right? Okay, so this, I've got some oversized materials from the Virginia Elections collection. What are the chances our sprinkler system actually works? I assume it does, because it has rained from our ceiling previously, so that makes me think that there will be water that falls from the sky fairly easily. I don't have in my office the audio notifications when the alarm goes off, so I'll just get... I do have a flashing light now. When I first was assigned this office, there was no form of notification in this room. If the fire alarm was going off, I would not have known. I'm curious about this. There's a thing here. So this folder says polls of 1808 Assembly election and polls of 1865 Confederate Army election. And it has a special barcode on it from the Virginia Tech Foundation, which is typically only on really expensive items. So now I'm curious to know more about these items and why it's particularly called out in that way. But let's see. Poll book of an election for delegate from the county of blank or the city of blank. Yeah. I'm sure it had the barcode as an accession too, and so I'm probably gonna want to look into archive space and find out just contextually, like, I mean, we probably just bought it with foundation funds, but usually that's reserved for the really expensive things. So there's not much writing at the top. Hard to see. What Nottoway and something. It doesn't appear, like there was no transcript with it, so I assume not. It's very, very faded, the ink. Nottoway and it's something that starts with an A and ends with an A. But I'm uncertain what it is. And they're the counties. So it's a Virginia county that starts with an A, ends with an A. That should narrow it down. Also, I'm guessing it would be near Nottoway, which would help if I actually knew where Nottoway County is. I may have grown up in this state, but I don't necessarily know. If anybody does know. Amelia County. It's going to be Amelia. Ah, okay. So, I have found the location. So, map of Virginia. And if you're curious, over here in Montgomery County is where Virginia Tech is located. This document that I just pulled out for us to look at is from Nottoway and Amelia counties, which is right here. Sort of dead center in the bulk of the state. Yeah, it's definitely going to be Amelia. It's just really super faded, and so all I could really make out was that it started and ended with A. But yeah, thank you, Hannah. It is indeed Amelia County. Okay. I got lost with my cursor, sorry. And if I had not known that Nottoway was a county in Virginia, I would not have figured it out without looking something up either. It's not Augusta, so looking at the writing itself, it's definitely Amelia. Because once I knew, originally I could just get the A and the A, but adding in the context of, I'm pretty sure this is Amelia, it's definitely A-M, and I can see the L-I-A at the end, so yeah, it's definitely Amelia. Anyway, held at Camp hang on. It's in the plastic because it's delicate, and that's great, and we would prefer that people leave it in the plastic. But I'm taking it out of the plastic so that we can get a better look. Camp If anybody can tell what that says. Camp, I want to say Camp 3, but I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, Hannah, the geographical location of Amelia next to Nottoway makes a lot of sense. Held at Camp something. R-E-P, maybe? Or R-Y. And then C-A-S. Yeah, I'm not sure. If anybody has a better guess as to what... Huh. I don't know. I'm going to check the finding aid. Maybe Sterling figured it out. Maybe not. Oh, I love that there's a historical note. Amelia County, Virginia is named for Princess Amelia of Great Britain. Founded in 1735, the county was cut from Prince George and Brunswick counties, and parts of Amelia were used to create Prince Edward and Nottoway counties. Yeah, I'm not going to struggle too much longer over these particular words, because you have a citation in it, Sterling. So it's very faded, but we have some names of voters. Again, super, super faded. If we needed to, I could probably make out some of these names. Oh dear. We're going handheld for the macro lens on this camera. Looks like maybe Colonel L. K. Johns or something like that. I'm not sure. And then we've got like G. W. Irby, W. M. Irby. Looks like G. A. B. It's either. No, I think it's Johns. J-O-N. Oh no, Jones. Jones. It's Colonel L.K. Jones, I think, and then this is Lieutenant. Lieutenant something B. Jones. It's really hard to make out because it's very faded. An alternate light source might cause the ink to stand out from the paper, but that might be the only way to tease out looking at the paper. It's also possible to, since these would have been people in military service, we could probably cross-reference with rosters to figure out the names. Something F. Fitzgerald, G.A. I'm uncertain. I can make out A-L-L-E at the end, but I'm not certain what the letters before it are. E, L. Huh. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help that this person's handwriting is a little bit difficult for me. And it doesn't help that it's faded. J.B. Phillips. E. H-E-R. Nope. I'm uncertain what some of the letters in the middle are. It starts with an H and ends in son. Anyway. So, it's the list of the voters. We certify that the possibly above poll has been taken Accounting to law. Given under our hand this 23rd March, 1865. The first lieutenant, but I'm uncertain what the name is. Names can be difficult. Looks like possibly Matt, but I'm not sure. Looks like also it could be an abbreviation. It could be M.H. Knight, First Lieutenant Colonel? I'm not sure at all. Camp may have been there in March and may have moved shortly after. The only camp names you could find were Union camps in April. So, yeah, there's definitely information here. It's definitely difficult to make out on this specific document. But apart from, like, just the list of people, there's not much to that document. This other one is ballot. And the ink is a bit more, the ink has lasted better. I'm actually going to put this whole book back in the Mylar because it is fragile. It is interesting. And with a lot of time, it would be possible to make out what it says and transcribe it. It's just a bit difficult because it's so faded. Okay, let's see. So these are actual election ballots? Or is this... I'm unclear as to whether these were from an election or from a poll. Ah! Is this... Polls of 1865 Confederate Army election. Are these the 14th Amendment ballots? I don't know. Let me zoom back out. It doesn't look like they are. I don't see these on the finding aid. U.S. polls and ballots collected from Amelia County, Virginia from 1804, 1808, and 1865. Some pertains to election polls in the Confederate Army during the American Civil War. One of these is the ballot for the 14th Amendment. We're gonna figure it out, because I'm not sure. And that would be of interest. Got it. These should be the ballots. The 14th Amendment ballots. It was listed in the finding aid as just folder 1. But it's actually oversized folder 1, and it's just that's the only folder. Got it. I still don't see how these are 14th Amendment, though. So we've got... For State Senate, C.C. McRae. For House of Delegates, G.A. Miller. For Congress, Robert Ridgway. Oh, yes, and there it is. I just had to be patient. As to the amendment of the Constitution, yes. So these were ballots cast by Confederate soldiers in 1865. So... Interesting. So this is the 14th Amendment. I want a quick reminder of its history. So I'm gonna switch over and we'll look at a web page here in a second. All right, so this is the U.S. National Archives website, and starting here, let's see, 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Looks like it was passed in 1868, so 3 years after these ballots were cast. Passed by Congress June 13th, 1866, ratified July 9th, 1868, extended liberties and rights granted by the Bill of Rights to formerly enslaved people. Following the Civil War, Congress submitted to the states 3 amendments as part of its Reconstruction program to guarantee equal civil and legal rights to black citizens. The major provision of the 14th Amendment was to grant citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, thereby granting citizenship to formerly enslaved people. Another equally important provision was the statement that, quote, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. The right to due process of law and equal protection now applied to both federal and state governments. On June 16, 1866, the House Joint Resolution proposing the 14th Amendment to the Constitution was submitted to the states. On July 28, 1868, the 14th Amendment was declared in a certificate of the Secretary of State, ratified by 28 of the 37, the necessary 28 of the 37, and became part of the Constitution. Okay. I'm a little confused on the timings because these ballots are from 1865. Yeah. But it was proposed 1866. So I'm somewhat confused. Why were the soldiers voting on it before it was passed by Congress. If anybody has a better grasp of, like, the actual flow of these through... I'm sure there's a good reason why. And what are the other 2 amendments? I see, I need to know so I can have the proper context for... Alright, the 13th Amendment is 1865. Maybe these are the 13th and not the 14th. Passed by Congress on January 31st, 1865, ratified on December 6th, 1865, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States. Passed at the end of the Civil War before the Southern states had been restored to the Union and should have easily passed in Congress. However, though the Senate passed it in April 1864, the House initially did not. At that point, Lincoln took an active role to ensure passage through Congress. He insisted that the passage of the 13th Amendment be added to the Republican Party platform for the upcoming 1864 presidential election. His efforts met with success when the House passed the bill in January 1865 with a vote of 119 to 56. It was approved by President Lincoln. The necessary number of states, 3/4, ratified it by December 6, 1865. It provides that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Yeah, I'm just looking at the dates. I'm pretty certain that these ballots from October of 1865 would have been regarding the 13th Amendment and not the 14th Amendment. We'll see if any of the text on the document, on the ballots themselves, clarifies. But just timing-wise, it looks like they were in the process of having people vote on it for ratification for the 13th Amendment when these ballots were cast, and then it wasn't until the next year that the 14th Amendment was being considered. I find it interesting. There's not really any instructions on these ballots. And you can see for state senate, and there's the pre-printed name, C.C. McRae. There's space, and presumably you could cross out C.C. McRae and write in somebody else if you wanted to. But it doesn't tell you that you can do that. I also, like today, it's all Scantron sheets and like fill in the bubble and things like that. Just having a blank space where you needed to write somebody's name in, that would not, that would really not fly today. Oh, can you imagine the debates of people spelling names differently? Although generally with the U.S. elections, if somebody's writing in something, it is, as long as intent can be determined, that, like, even if they're filling in a bubble and it's mostly filled in, but they didn't quite get all of it, if they're having to do a manual review, it's generally, as long as intent can be figured out, then it counts. Alright, so for Congress, Ridgway. Alright, and amend Amendment to Constitution, another yes. I wonder if any of them will have more detail. Again, voting for Royal and Ridgway. Amendment, yes. I'm guessing it's these ballots that are why it was barcoded from Foundation. Voting for Giles Miller for House of Delegates. Robert Ridgway, Amendment to Constitution, yes. It's interesting that the amendment portion is like not even a question on there. They just have to add it. Oh, I totally missed some important information. These ballots have their names on them. J.A.R. I'm uncertain about the beginning of the last name. Something voting. I'm not gonna venture to. I'll get it wrong if I try. But we have Jonathan H. Cheatham. J.H. I think it's Taylor. I noticed because I was like, oh, they signed these ballots. These are not anonymous ballots. E.H. Coleman. Alright, so Royal. Ridgway. So, same as everybody else. J.P. I think it's Andrews. They're interesting. I'm gonna look for more amendment ballots. Alright, so this person voted for Giles A. Miller and Robert Ridgway with another yes vote on amending the Constitution. And Theo Covington. It's so weird to, like, I never expected that their names were on them. I think this is T.J. Booker. It's definitely Booker. The first two initials look very similar. I think it's T.J., but I'm not 100% certain on that. It's very faint. This one was printed out. This is... a different format of the same ballot. This one has pre-printed Robert Ridgway for Congress. And then we've got Cook for Senate, Miller for House of Delegates. Oh, okay. And then this one's pre-printed with a yes on the amendment. House of Deflate. So it looks to me like the ballots were provided by the political campaign. So in this case, these ballots were printed up and provided to them by campaign of C.C. McCrae. That's why C.C. McCrae is pre-printed. And it looks to me like C.C. McCrae's campaign just did not pre-print anything about the amendment. So that's why people were handwriting that in. But this one, this ballot was pre-printed by the Robert Ridgway campaign. And it did pre-print a yes for the amendment to the Constitution. Interesting. I know, these are fascinating. W.J. Holcomb, which I believe these are the same names that were on the register that we could barely make things out on. Again, Ridgway, Koch, or Coke, I don't know how they want to say it. It's now been spelled 2 different ways. Miller. Okay. This person crossed out yes and wrote yes. Ridgway, Hoke, Miller, and yes from I think it's NH, but I'm uncertain. And the last name, yeah, I'm not sure who that one is. Yeah, so these are all of these are pre-printed with the yes automatically. RTG. And then this one's another one from the McCrae campaign that doesn't. Oh wow. The writing is so faint that it's being bled out, but it's Ridgway down there. But no mention of the amendment on this one. So I don't have any ballots that were no votes on the amendment to... Okay, so now I want to check... Because I'm curious, and I want to double check. Let's see. Virginia... 1865 October elections. The Virginia congressional elections of 1865. Let's just see what we can find out. 1865 United States election in Virginia and 1865 United States special election. I want to see if it's got info on the amendments, because that's what's interesting. Let's check the other page. Were there different dates? So the McCrae ones don't have a date on them. The Ridgway ones had October 12th of 1865. March 23rd. 12th October 1865. Yeah, all of the ones that are dated are 12th October 1865. Oh, the first paper that we looked at was March 23rd of 1865. That was the poll book. The list of voters for the county. And that was March 23rd. Huh. I don't know. I'm still poking at it. I don't know which amendment it was. I am very interested in finding out. Alright, I'm not gonna spend too much more time. I'm gonna do one more search. Virginia, let's see. October 12, 1865. Huh. Okay, so Virginia ratified the 13th Amendment on February 9th, 1865. But Virginia didn't ratify the 14th or 15th Amendments until 1869. So I still don't know which amendment they were voting on. Presumably the 14th, because the vote in October of 1865 was taking place after Virginia had already ratified the 13th Amendment. So presumably it is correctly described as being regarding the 14th Amendment. I would be very curious to pin it down for sure. Yeah, it could have been on these ballots. It took another 4 years for Virginia to actually ratify it. But that doesn't mean it couldn't have been on these ballots. And so this voter roll from March would have been Confederate. And then the ballots are during Reconstruction. Yeah. So it's a little fiddly with the dates, but it's interesting. Okay. I'm gonna put these back. feel free to continue that line of research and let us know if you are able to pin it down a little bit more. But there are more things to look at. So I'm gonna look at something else. It has been, yeah, extremely interesting. I did not know I would get quite so interested in it. Again, mylar sleeve here, because, wow, these are falling apart, but I'm taking it out because I can. I am the archivist, and it'll show better on screen for you if I don't have the plastic. Polls of 1808 for something. Actually, in order to really look at it, you have to take it out. Polls of 1808 for members of assembly. This one is delicate. So we've got Thomas Parkinson, James Robertson, it looks like Bat Randolph and James P. Cock, C-O-C-K-E. Bat appears to have a period after it as though it is an abbreviation. I am uncertain. What do you mean, Sterling? How dare you expect my howler in the mail? I am not insulting your work. I am just saying, like, in looking at it, I was curious and wanted to confirm. Oh, pulling it out of the plastic. Never. No, this one has, in order to see all the sides, I have to take it out of the plastic. Ooh. What is this? What is this? Encyclopedia Virginia. We do like the Encyclopedia Virginia. It is a good source. Can't you go to the window I want you to go to? Alright, let me pull this up. Encyclopedia Virginia. African Americans and Politics in Virginia, 1865 to 1902. African Americans were deeply involved in Virginia politics until the first years of the 20th century. Prior to 1865, Virginia law had restricted the vote to adult white men. With the abolition of slavery, African American men began to lobby for their full rights as citizens. In Norfolk, in May 1865, they even cast votes for the first time, although local electoral boards refused to count them. The first election in which black men voted, and those votes were counted, was for delegates to the Constitutional Convention of 1867-68, to which they elected 24 of their own. Actually, I think... Is that one of the things we pulled? It is not. We have that. Yeah. We have it, and I don't have it in here. Yeah. It is interesting, but it brought to mind that document. I might be able to look upon this one for a moment. While I do one quick check. I know we looked at it before. It's funny, I'm going to my own LibGuide that I wrote because I know I mentioned it there. At least I thought I did. Yeah. It is not what I was thinking, though. It's the flyer that we have is 1921. But it's very similar to what was talked about there. And it's been digitized, so I can show it to you. So the Virginia Republican Party flyer is what we called it. It is the Republican ticket from the year 1921. And yeah, that is way too small for any of you to read. We'll take a look at the document here in a second, but the Virginia Republican Party flyer is a list titled The Republican Ticket and printed on newsprint of the so-called Lily Black Republican Ticket of 1921, an African-American offshoot of the Republican Party. Sought-after offices: Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, Treasurer, Secretary of the Commonwealth, Superintendent of Public Instruction, Corporation Commissioner, the Commissioner of Agriculture, Maggie L. Walker of Richmond, Virginia, an African-American philanthropist, and the first American female bank president, is listed as the Republican candidate for Superintendent of Public Instruction. Because that was the only thing that they were going to list a woman for in 1921. Yet she's a freaking bank president, and she was Superintendent of Public Instruction on the ticket. Oh dear. John Mitchell Jr. of Richmond, Virginia, the editor of the Richmond Planet, was their candidate for governor. The Lily Black Republican ticket of 1921 was in response to the all-white Lily White ticket put forward by the mainstream Republican Party of Virginia. Neither Republican ticket won in 1921. The Democratic Party swept the elections. Although several names appear on the Lily Black Republican ticket, biographical information exists only for Maggie Walker, John Mitchell Jr., and Joseph Newsom. So the description goes into a lot more of that detail. But yeah, we've got the image, the scan of the ticket here. According to stuff I'm finding, I still have no idea what amendment they were voting on in these ballots. According to one article, the speech that introduced the 14th Amendment wasn't given until May of '66. Yeah, Hannah, that's why I was confused too, because when I went to just get a quick primer and refresh my memory on the 14th Amendment, it said it wasn't introduced, or it wasn't passed by Congress until 1866. And so the state there would have been no reason for them to be voting on it until after Congress passed it, which was 1866. Which is why I was thinking, oh, it was probably the 13th Amendment they were voting on. But the Virginia lawmakers ratified the 13th Amendment in the first couple of months of 1865. So if Virginia passed or ratified it at the beginning of 1865, why would they have been voting about it in October? So yeah, I'm very confused. That one, just to confirm which amendment they're voting on, I think would take a little bit more detailed and in-depth research into the exact dates of when things were happening in Virginia regarding those amendments at that time. So yeah, this is the party platform, the Lily Black Republican ticket of 1921. It goes just a tad further into the 20th century than we had been looking at, and we've looked at this before on stream, so I won't spend a ton of time on it, but reading about the stuff that Hannah linked related to elections in Virginia, and specifically about African Americans and politics in Virginia, and the mention that they, upon being able to vote, they had entire tickets of candidates that were African Americans, and elected them. And so here is a ticket. This is the Lily Black ticket. All black candidates put forward by the Virginia Republican Party in 1921. Ooh, some good info, and might hint that it was the 13th they were voting on. Let's take a look. Oh, just the description here. Yeah. Okay, so because ratified December 6th, 1865 nationally, but the dates don't line up, because when I looked up when did Virginia ratify the 13th, it was the beginning of 1865. Passed at the end of the Civil War, but before the Southern states had been restored. House initially did not. At that point, Lincoln took... This is what I was reading earlier. February 1st, 1865, Lincoln approved the joint resolution of Congress and submitted it to state legislatures. The necessary number of states ratified it by December 6th, 1865. So... Let's check the Library of Virginia here. Virginia Constitutional Convention resolved to abolish slavery March 10th, 1864. February 1865, General Assembly of the restored government ratified the 13th Amendment. Yeah. So it can't be the 13th Amendment, because okay, so what about Virginia and the 14th Amendment? That is not helpful. Define citizenship 13th, which was ratified 15th Amendment. Yeah. Okay. The 14th Amendment made all native-born men and women citizens and guaranteed them equal protection under the law. It included provisions to protect men's right to vote while abridging the rights of former Confederates. The General Assembly of Virginia refused to ratify the amendment until ratification became a precondition of regaining representation in Congress. So Virginia didn't ratify it until October 8th, 1869, but that doesn't really help because the U.S. Congress hadn't passed it until 1866. So, again, what were the soldiers voting on in 1865? I still don't know. Hi, welcome in 16-Bit Eric. Hello, Raiders. Welcome to Archival Adventures. Thank you very, very, very much for the raid, Eric. It is lovely to see you all. I am Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist at Virginia Tech. You have raided in on my personal channel, which is Rogan27. This is a show I do every Wednesday where I share materials from the archives and special collections at Virginia Tech. And today we've been looking at some election-related material from the Commonwealth of Virginia. Right at the end of the American Civil War, I think we've got some actual documents here from during the Civil War as well, from the Confederate States of America. We've run into a little bit of a mystery because we have actual ballots that were cast by Virginia soldiers in October of 1865, so after the war had ended. And they are voting, one of the things that they're voting on is an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And we can't figure out if it's the 13th or the 14th. Because the dates don't seem to line up. Because the 13th Amendment was ratified by Virginia at the beginning of 1865, and the 14th Amendment wasn't passed by Congress until the beginning of 1866. So what amendment were the soldiers voting on in October of 1865? We have not figured it out. We have come across an archival mystery today. But welcome in, everybody. It is great to have you here. Thank you so much for raiding over, Eric. And indeed, if you are not following 16-Bit Eric, you should be. Eric is a wonderful streamer, has a wonderful community. The whimsies are full of whimsy, surprisingly. And if you enjoy anything Star Trek or speculative fiction or tabletop role-playing or comic books or 1980s or Buddhism or just basically any topic in existence, Eric is worth a follow. Yeah, hi Pretty Witchery. It's possible it was state-specific stuff. Yeah, it's one that I don't think we're gonna solve it on stream today. I'm gonna have to dig into it because I'm curious. Hi Shadows of Life. Hi Blue Rooster. All right. The document that we were looking at when we got distracted again by finding more potential leads is a 1808 poll from members of Assembly, which would be the General Assembly of Virginia, presumably. And we've got... So what I don't understand... These are... Okay. So it looks to me like they had 4 candidates. Thomas Parkinson, James Robertson, Bat Randolph, and James P. Koch, or Koch. I don't know what Bat is an abbreviation for. Bartholomew, maybe? And then there's these lists of names underneath. And these are the people who were basically indicating that they were in favor of each individual candidate. It's very interesting to me, looking back at some of these documents, like ballots from the October 1965 election were signed by the voter. So they're not anonymous in any way. You can look at them and it's signed on the back by the voter, and on the front it has their vote. So we know who they voted for. This is quite interesting. The way that this paper is I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second here while I adjust this camera to give you a high view. This poll from 1808. I love encountering some of the strange things that people have done with paper. You can see it's water damaged and, whatever. The names on it, if you were researching specifics about individuals, they might be interesting. But the most interesting thing to me at the moment is once I unfolded it, so it unfolds down, so you've got, it extends double the length. But the top half of it only, the pages turn. The bottom half of it, the pages do not turn. So the top half is front, interior. So it's like, I don't understand. You've got page, 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 page. So a total of 8 pages, right? On the top. On the bottom, 4 pages. Because it doesn't have the insert. The construction here is just confusing. Figuring out how to unfold it without tearing it was challenging. I'm also uncertain exactly how you're intended to read such a document. Presumably, the columns continue. But then, why, if the columns continue, why is there so little, why is there this big gap in this column? Things like this come up a lot. It's very interesting. There's a Civil War letter that we were actually talking about earlier today that I processed a few years back that was on paper 3 inches wide and 20 inches tall. And 2 sheets of this really narrow, really tall paper that somebody had used to write letters. Letters make more sense because the soldiers would literally write on whatever paper they could get hold of. It was because they just kind of wrote on whatever they could get their hands on. Exactly. But yeah, so these are... I don't know. It's listed as polls. And I'm uncertain what is meant in this context. Which definition of polls is this? I'm gonna see if... are these... So there's a difference between ballots and polls. So these are polls. So are these like opinion polls, or like is this like survey ahead of time to see which candidates have more support? I'm unclear. I'm unclear as to exactly what this document is. It's interesting. I'm just not 100% certain which aspect of things it was, like which portion of the process it is. So this is supposed to be polls and ballots collected from Amelia County from 1804, 1808, and 1865. We did 65 earlier. This is 1808. Some pertains to election polls in the Confederate Army during the American Civil War. One of these is the ballot for the 14th Amendment, except that we're not sure it's the 14th. So 1808 is well before the Civil War. Are these to send delegates, or are these... I'm curious. I'm uncertain, and I'm not sure I will be able to answer it today. But what I don't know is, was this like similar to a caucus, where these people were indicating, send this person? Or is this a party gathering where they were electing their nominee? Or I'm not 100% sure which role this document plays in the process. But I am in no way an expert on the history of elections in Virginia. I had never honestly considered how the process worked in the past. And the fact that the ballots weren't anonymous was shocking to me earlier. It's possible it could be a state amendment for the 1865 thing. That's something we haven't investigated and we could investigate. This is another poll here. It looks like the candidates were... Oh gosh, sorry, I have zoomed you out way too far. We've got Thomas Randolph, Edmund Harrison, and John Wiley as candidates. This is 1804. And whatever these results are indicating, they're signed here. It says the above duly sworn to, oh dear, according to law, April 26, 1804, so presumably it's some sort of primary. Signed Edward Eggleston. It's interesting. I'm unclear. I would need to research the specific election to give context for myself. Let's look at some other here. We have the Virginia Confederate Election Ticket of 1861. So this would be the Confederate States of America. And we have a... So this is the ticket. This is the... if you were going to vote, you'd be voting for the ticket, not individual candidates. So this was the ticket for this election in the Confederacy in 1861. It's very bright. The camera's like, ooh, it's so bright. Here, let me lower these lights a little, and that might help a little. Of course, Jefferson Davis of Mississippi for president. Adlai Stevens, is it Adlai? A.H. Stevens for vice president. Sorry. My brain said Adlai, but it might not be. Who was the vice president under Jefferson Davis of the Confederate States of America? Alexander H. Stevens, who was the vice president of the Confederate States of America. And then you've got various districts here. And so, interesting. Middlesex, Norfolk City, Richmond City, Dinwiddie, Charlotte, Bedford, Albemarle, Madison, Loudon, Shenandoah, Rockbridge, Roanoke, Smith, Mason, Harrison, and Ohio. Most of those I recognize as like county names, but if there's an Ohio County in Virginia, I'm unaware of it. Same with a Charlotte County. Anyway, it's similar to the one that I showed you, the 1921 one, the Lily Black ticket from the Republican Party from 1921. This again, just here's your candidates. None of the names really stand out to me, other than Jefferson Davis and Vice President Stevens there. Joseph Christian, Cincinnatus Newton. That's an interesting name. Hi, Key Squared. Whole of Ohio, only Worthy County. See, Pretty Witchery, I don't know. I'm going back to my list of Virginia counties. We referred to it earlier. It's funny, I grew up in Virginia. I never had to learn all the counties in Virginia. I grew up in Northern Virginia, which might as well have been a separate state. There is a Charlotte County. I had been unaware of that. It's actually not far from Nottoway and Amelia that we were looking at earlier. So, Charlotte County is down here. And Nottoway and Amelia that we were looking at earlier are here. So my guess is that we're going to find that Ohio is a county. I have no idea where Ohio County, Virginia would be. In Pennsylvania, we were expected to memorize all the counties 1 year in school and then never use that information again. That makes sense. Okay. Northampton, Northumberland, Nottoway, Orange, Ohio. There is no Ohio County in Virginia. So, what is this 16th district of Ohio? Because there is no Ohio County. All of the others are counties. And it's not like Ohio and Virginia share a border. There's an Ohio County in West Virginia. And it's where Wheeling is. Interesting. I suppose that's possible. This is 1861. So when I don't know the exact timing of when West Virginia broke from Virginia. I know it was right at the start of the Civil War. Before statehood, part of Virginia, and it looks like 1863. Residents of the western and northern counties set up a separate government under Francis Pierpont in 1861, which they called the Restored Government. Most voted to separate from Virginia, and the new state was admitted to the Union in 1863. So, it's possible that the Ohio County, or the Ohio District referenced on this document, is referring to what is now Ohio County, West Virginia. Thank you for bringing that in, Key Squared. The thought had entered my mind, but I hadn't gotten there yet. What's funny is this entire episode has been more interesting than I expected it to be. I saw the topic and I was like, I don't know how interesting this is going to be. It's been interesting so far. Henry T. Parrish, Scrapbook of the 1860 election. Let's see what we got. A scrapbook. I mean, the outside is just generic. I trust you to know what's interesting, Sterling. It's just I saw the topic and I was like, oh dear, it's politics. It's gonna be boring. It's been interesting, but mostly because I've latched onto some mysteries. A scrapbook containing extracts from the speeches and letters of John Bull and Edward somebody. I hate when I'm reading it fine and then I run into something I'm like, I don't know what that says. Hang on. I'll find out real quick. Oh, John Bell? Is it Bell? Sorry. John Bell. Stephen Douglas. Herschel Johnson. Who's this Edward person? The Edward person is not mentioned in the finding aids, so we'll just have to find out on our own. John Cahill Breckenridge, and Joseph Lee. Together with other matter pertinent to the presidential canvass of 1860, compiled by Henry L. Parrish, Farmville, Virginia. Ooh. And it is indeed a scrapbook. A scrapbook of political matter for the campaign of 1860, led by Henry L. Parrish. Oh, wow. It's a very long article. From the Greensboro, North Carolina Patriot. Oh, the anti-Lincoln scrapbook? Oh dear. Do I even really want to look at it? There is approaching a terrible crisis in the country. Should it turn out, unfortunately, that Lincoln and Hamlin should be elected, there remains no doubt, but there are thousands of inconsiderate men in the South standing ready to take advantage of the mortification and excitement of the occasion to precipitate the slave states into disunion. The evidences of this thicken every day. Conservative men of all parties in the Union are beginning to see that there is ahead of us a great danger to our peace, happiness, and prosperity. Oh dear. This is a very, very long article. Thank you for the time check, Hannah. Let me see if there's something short. The platform. That one's also quite long. Oh. Can anyone tell what that says? What? Oh, quotations! Quotations! It took me a bit to figure out what that said. Is there not some chosen course, some hidden thunder in the stars of heaven, or stores of heaven, Nope. I can't figure out what that says. Uncommon wrath to blaze the man who owes his greatness to his country's name? I'm not sure. Why is their handwriting always more elegant than mine, but so much more cursed to read? I mean, it looks pretty witchery, but most of the letters between the beginning and the end of a word are just a series of bumps. This has more clarity than a lot of handwriting. because really, aside from capital letter at the beginning and any T's or Y's or G's or ones that are taller or shorter, most of the middle is just a series of bumps. Hello, Stephen Joy! How are you? It is a difficult font. I know. I can almost read it. The lover may distrust that look that steals his soul away. The babe may cease to think that it can play with heaven's rainbow. Alchemists may doubt the shining gold their crucible gives out, but faith, fanatic faith, once wedded fast to some dear falsehood, hugs it to the last? Yeah, that's what it says, hugs. I did not expect the word hugs. But, Stephen, it has been a stream of mysteries today. From, we have ballots cast by soldiers in Virginia in 1865, voting on an amendment to the Constitution. But we can't figure out which amendment it was. It was noted as being the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which would make sense except that the U.S. Congress didn't pass the 14th Amendment until the spring of 1866, so there would have been nothing for them to vote on yet. So then maybe it's the 13th Amendment, except Virginia ratified the 13th Amendment in the spring of 1865, so they wouldn't have been voting on it in October of 1865. So we don't know what they were voting on. We have yet to look into amendments to the Virginia, like the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Except I also don't know the history of, did they make a new Virginia Constitution after the Civil War when they were rejoining the Union, or did the prior one come back into force? So if the prior one, the one before they seceded and joined the Confederacy, came back into force, then it would make sense that they were amending it. If, however, they drafted a new one, amending it in 1865 wouldn't make sense. So more research is necessary, but I suspect that the original Virginia Constitution came back into effect and that this was an amendment to the Virginia Constitution abolishing slavery in the Commonwealth of Virginia, thereby allowing them one step closer towards rejoining the United States. Which they didn't do until 1869 when they passed the 14th and 15th Amendments. Or when they ratified the 14th and 15th Amendments. Yeah, it's been interesting. The lover may distrust that look which steals his soul away. The babe may cease to think that it can play with heaven's rainbow. Alchemists may doubt the shining gold their crucible gives out. But faith, fanatic faith, once wedded fast to some dear falsehood, hugs it to the last. Indeed, that was the quote, but they've written these quotes in here, but they don't say who they're quoting. And I don't know that quote. I've never heard it before. More? As in Thomas More? The Irish poet Thomas More? Speaking of illegible quotes, do you know if the archives have any commonplace books? This is a term I am not familiar with. What does it mean? It doesn't mean we don't have them. It just means it's a term I have not encountered. During the Renaissance and 19th century, such books are similar to scrapbooks filled with items of many kinds, notes, proverbs, adages, aphorisms, maxims. I don't know. I imagine that we have things that would meet this definition, whether they're identified as such. I would have to look, because it was not a phrase I was familiar with before, so I don't know. I will look into that for you. Just more from the poetry of flowers and flowers of poetry. Yeah, hey, I do this because I have fun, and I find it fascinating, and I learn things. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, just doing this show. It was like, the building is closed. I can't do exhibits anymore. What should I do? And then it was, hey, the library is starting a Twitch channel, and we need some people to do content. And I was like, have I got a proposal for you? Oh, here we go. What? Okay, so that quote shows up in a book called Satan's Invisible World Displayed, or Despairing Democracy, by William Thomas Steed from 1897. But whether I don't think it's originally from that. I think it's quoted in that. That, and it beats paying attention to work. I mean, for me it is work, which it's one of the things I enjoy the most about my job. Okay, the poetical works of Thomas More. Yeah, so that's a quote from Thomas More. I do want to peek quickly, because we're over time by 2 minutes, at the last collection that was here, the Pittsylvania County. These are large. It's more voter ledgers, so I don't think it's going to be a lot in depth that we can do with them. Oh wow. Actually, these are not uninteresting. Annie C. Edwards. I, Annie C. Edwards, do solemnly swear that I am entitled to register under the Department... Wait, under the... something. DCT of... Oh, no. I don't know. I think it's Department of Assembly in Virginia. And like... something, the right of suffrage to... And that I am not disguised. No, what? D-I-S-G... disqualified. That I am not disqualified from exercising the right of suffrage by the said act. What act? I skipped a little bit, but I don't... Huh. It's August 6, 1923. MC... Huffinen? But it's Annie Edwards. Annie C. Edwards. So, registering to vote as a woman, which is an interesting bit of interest. Does it still smell like onions? It does not smell like onions anymore. Nell Edward hereby make application for registration at Ajax Precinct, Pittsylvania County, by ages 24 years, date and place of birth, Hadley Hill, Franklin? No, I'm F-R-A-N. I don't know this county. Somethingshire County, Virginia. I'd have to look it up. April 10, 1897. Residence and occupation now and for 2 years preceding Sandy Sand, Virginia, Pitts County, teaching. Never voted. Is that in the final aid? Historical note, Pittsylvania County is the largest county in the Commonwealth of Virginia and was established in 1767, named in honor of William Pitt, the Earl of Chatham, in recognition for his support of the American colonies during Stamp Act crisis in 1765. The county is formed from the western portion of Halifax County and took on its size when Henry and Patrick counties separated from it in 1777. Names of individuals registered to vote in Pittsylvania County, Virginia from 1896 to 1924. Subject terms. Yeah, no, there's some additional subjects that need to be added to this because these are women registering to vote for the first time after women's suffrage was passed. So it just needs, like, there should be a note that is in here. Because that would be definitely of interest. Because, yeah, wow. Glandon Bennett. I mean, it's not all women, but it is definitely... Look, this entire page. Registration oath, female. To be filed with the registrar and preserved with the books of registration. I, Sarah B. Perdue, do solemnly swear or affirm that I am entitled to register under the Act of Assembly of Virginia extending the right of suffrage to women, and that I am not disqualified from exercising the right of suffrage by said act. Signed, Sarah B. Perdue, subscribed and sworn to before me this second day of October 1920. These are really, really amazing. I did an exhibit in 2021 for the 100th anniversary of the no, it was 2020. I did an exhibit in 2020. Yeah, it stayed up for a long time because we didn't really have people in the building in 2020. But I did an exhibit about women's suffrage in 2020 because 1920 was when the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was passed, granting women the right to vote. And so in 2020, I put together an exhibit with the few items in our collections related to women's suffrage. This was not part of the collection then. And so this is exciting for me because this is women registering to vote after the 19th Amendment passed. Oh, a list of former counties. Hannah? Oh, no, I get it. That link breaks halfway through and you just get a list of former counties, generally not in Virginia. I was like, what? Whatever. I'm not too worried. But, yeah, no, this is... I'm now distracted by this list. I'm gonna stop looking at it because I will spend too much time. But no, these are really, really, really cool. Maud Gray. Fanny. I believe it's Whitaker. Oh, you can't. It's all blurry now because I did. So we've got Maud Graves. I'm pretty sure this is Fanny Whitaker, but because Pretty Witchery has been in chat today, it was very hard for me to not see Witchery. Thank you, Consilience. Yeah, I do need to be winding up the stream because I have to get to the car and drive home, and I have things. But yes, this registration oath for Fanny Whitaker. Because of you, Pretty Witchery, I could not see anything but Fanny Witchery. But there are so many of these. Actually, I'll have to dig into this because I would not be surprised if everything in here is women registering to vote after the passage of suffrage. Because I really haven't run across any names. There was one early on that I wasn't 100% on how I was reading it. That read to me as, like, a guy's name. And, like, this one, Dallas Hedrick. Is Dallas a woman's name? I don't see why it couldn't be. Pretty Witchery. Yes, Fanny Witchery would be much, much funnier in Australian. But I'm almost certain that we need to revise the finding aid for this and note that these are all registration records for women. Because I'm pretty sure that's what it is. There are a couple in here that are not, but the majority of this collection is women registering to vote in the 1920s. That's amazing. Okay, I do have to stop. But that's one folder. The rest of this, I don't know, and would be worth investigating. But yeah, one of these folders is definitely almost exclusively women registering to vote for the first time after women were granted the right to vote. And that's just amazing. Okay. I should quickly mention what we're going to do next time. Because somewhere that exists. You know, I don't do this every week or anything. It's not like I could have this prepared and ready to reference. Come on, open spreadsheet, open. All right. Okay. Next week is the last Wednesday in March. It's the last Wednesday in March, which means that we are going to be doing something from the speculative fiction collection. And if you'll recall, when we did the spec fiction, when we did the spec fiction on Dianetics, somebody mentioned a story called Lost Legacy, and said something about it seeming similar. We have located that, but it's not scheduled till the end of April. What we have coming up at the end of March is Ray Bradbury's Small Assassin, which looks quite interesting. I'm not familiar with the story, and we'll be looking at it next week. And just because of scheduling, we do not have a visit to the Journal of the Chief Engineer of the USS Dakota coming up in April. We won't get back to that until May. Instead, I have a guest coming on April 3rd, and we will be talking about the Christiansburg Industrial Institute, which was it's a very well-known school for Black students that was here in Southwest Virginia. And so I've got a guest coming on the 3rd of April, and then I have another guest joining on the 10th of April. But yeah, we will get back to the Dakota. I just scheduling. We're not going to have one in April, so yeah. Anyway, next week, speculative fiction, Ray Bradbury. Let's see, where are we going to go? Who is streaming at the moment? And let me just mute this and that's a possibility. Of course, there's always the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which we do enjoy raiding occasionally. Time zones are still not working for me to raid Stephen this week, but we will we'll see Stephen and visit Tiny Hat Labs again in the future sometime. What about, how about we raid It Gets Better? They're doing a stream about Women's History Month and the Trans Day of Visibility. And that just seems like a good place to pop in on, if they will allow raids. So we'll give it a try. Let me see if it's going to let me. Yeah, Nope, they've got raids blocked. So we will not be raiding over there. I'm not terribly surprised. Yeah, nope, I think we're gonna go to the aquarium then. It was worth a try. But yeah, we'll go and visit the nice kelp cam, a lovely sort of just chill. There are a lot of fish on screen right now. We'll say hello to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and yeah, thanks everybody for joining me today. I hope that hope you'll come back again for another Archival adventure soon. But until I see you next, keep exploring history.